the February 7th meeting of the Board of Public Works and Safety. Roll call. Present.
Here.
First, approval of the minutes of our January 31st meeting.
I have reviewed the minutes of the 24th and the 31st, and I'd like to recommend that they both be approved.
Concur in the recommendation. Next is a request for advertising dates of February 14 and 21 and a bid opening date of March 14 for demolition of a number of properties.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve those advertising dates and the bid opening date of March 14th.
Concur in the recommendation. Next is a request for advertising dates of February 14, 21 and the same bid opening date of March 24 for another set of properties set for demolition.
I'd like to recommend that we approve that March 14th bid opening date and those advertising dates.
Concur in the recommendation. Next, supplemental agreement 1 for engineering services for drainage alley paving and sidewalk projects.
Yes, this is our on-call engineering service contract. We use Nice Engineering for little jobs that require drawings or something special. So I'd like to recommend that we approve the agreement with Nice Engineering for on-call engineers.
Concur in the recommendation. Next is a professional services agreement submitted by United Consulting for engineering services on Forestdale Avenue, 169th to 167th Street.
This is a supervision contract for that project that's in the 5th District. We opened bids on it, made an award a couple weeks ago. So I'd like to recommend that we approve the contract with United Consulting.
Concur in the recommendation. Next is a contract with Canopco, which is formerly known as Lever Brothers, for the purchase of real estate.
This is for the bike trail that's going to run through their parking lot to defer it. I'd like to recommend that be deferred until next week.
Concur in that recommendation. Next is a resolution authorizing disposal of surplus property.
What property is that?
This is a general resolution concerning surplus property we acquire. This is specifically on this one, a 2001 Ford ambulance, which has seen its last days.
I'll recommend that we approve that.
Concur in the recommendation. Next is an intergovernmental agreement between the Board of Works and the Hammond Port Authority Wolf Lake Trail Project.
This is a project that's going to be funded through the Port Authority. So we're doing an intergovernmental agreement with them to handle a portion of the funding of the Wolf Lake Bike Trail.
Concur in the recommendation. Next, we have a settlement agreement and mutual release. This is resolving the dispute with the City of Chicago Heights and their purchase of water. Mr. Smith, I presume you're familiar with the terms of that release?
Yes, Mr. President. And these are documents that have already been signed by the City of Chicago Heights on Monday, and the mayor, I believe, signed them yesterday. It resolves all issues between the City of Chicago Heights and the City of Hammond regarding the supply of water to the City of Chicago Heights. As a result of that, all actions pending in federal court will be dismissed with prejudice, which of course means that they will go away and cannot be brought again by the City of Chicago Heights. I can tell the board that this agreement is very favorable to the City of Hammond. It is basically exactly what the mayor requested, namely that the rate will be $2.20. It will be retroactive to November 1st of 2012, which was the date of the expiration of the former contract, and it will continue for a period of 20 years. It will also be based upon any increase of the City of Chicago's rate, so that it will always be, in other words, it will step up every 2 years, so that it will increase rather than stay at a fixed rate, which the former agreement stayed at a fixed rate based upon the City of Hammond's rate to its customers.
But it's still a good deal even for Chicago Heights because it's still cheaper than they can buy water anyplace else.
Yes, Mr. Stotney, that's correct. It's better for them because at this point the only other place they can go get water would be Chicago, which is more expensive than Hammond currently. Also, it allows them to continue supplying to their downstream customers that they currently have at the rate that the City of Hammond supplies to them. What they set that rate to those customers, and for that matter to their own residents, which at last check I believe was $3.30 per 1,000 gallons versus 57 cents to our residents here that the city charges its residents in Hammond. That's up to them what they set their rates to. But the good thing for the city is that increased volume that Chicago Heights gives to its downstream customers would then, of course, mean increased revenue for the City of Hammond because it's increased volume. And I would request that the board approve and sign those documents.
That's the release and purchase agreement we can do in one motion. All in favor? Aye. Next, an interlocal agreement between Hammond and the civil town of Munster concerning the Northcott Bridge.
Mr. President, yes, this is the first of 3 agreements between various municipal and county entities. This one is between City of Hammond and Town of Munster, where the Northcott Bridge would be reconstructed at a split of 50% of the cost each between Hammond and Munster. It has been already signed by the Town of Munster.
I'd like to make a motion that the agreement be approved.
Second.
All in favor? And that second one you referred to
Yes, Mr. President.
for
that
the
is,
Columbia Avenue Bridge.
yes, I'm happy to report to the board that both the Town of Munster and the county commissioners have signed this. Mr. Repay, the executive director of the Little Calumet River Basin Commission, has been given authorization by his board to sign it as well. I'm just waiting for that signature. But as the board is aware, these 3 agreements kind of bind the City of Hammond and the Town of Munster together to get these projects done. This one, as I understand it, and Mr. Justotny can, I think, confirm this, that the Columbia Avenue one is the one that both the town and the city and the county want to get moving first and foremost and quickly this year.
And
That's the lowest bridge on the river, so that's very critical to get that elevated. It'll be elevated up above the high water mark, and these 2 projects are definitely going to increase the level of protection for homes in the South Hammond area and for Munster.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement.
I'll second.
all in favor? Aye. And the third and final.
The third and final agreement is between the City of Hammond, Town of Munster, and the Little Calumet River Basin Commission. This has to do with the finalization of the hookup between Hammond and Munster's bike trails along what we call the Monon Trail. Currently, it ends at Frederick Street, I believe, in Munster, and it ends at Southmore Avenue or Street in Hammond Street. Thanks, Stan. And these will do 2 things. One, the design and build of this will make approaches to the river, and then the other component is the building of a bicycle pedestrian bridge over the Little Calumet River. Little Cal Basin is paying for the approaches. The city and town are paying for the new construction of the bridge, and I believe the Little Cal Basin Commission and/or the city will be taking care of the tearing down of the current trestle.
And the removal of that trestle is a big benefit to us because that's been a real hang-up point for all kind of debris in the river, and it's been a restrictor to flow to the west there. So the new bicycle bridge is going to be a free-span bridge without any supports in the river proper. I think it'll be a big improvement.
I'd like to make a motion that the agreement be approved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Next, an agreement for engineering services with DLZ Engineers.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the agreement with DLZ.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, we have an agreement between the City of Hammond and the City of Whiting.
It's an interlocal agreement for improvements on Indianapolis Boulevard from Schrog Avenue to 5 Points. State of Indiana is going to be doing the pavement and the curbs. City of Hammond, City of Whiting are going to be doing some underground infrastructure work and ornamental lighting and sidewalks. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve this agreement.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next is an agreement with the Indiana Department of Transportation and the City of Whiting for construction on US 12.
Yeah, this is that same segment of road. This is the agreement between all three parties with the Indiana Department of Transportation for the actual design and construction of the project. The project will be constructed in spring and summer of 2014. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve that agreement also.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, disposal authorizations from the Police Department.
I'd like to make a motion that the disposals be approved.
All in favor? Aye. Next, we have a memorandum with Firefighters Local 556.
President, this is a clarification of the firefighters union agreement that we approved last week. I'd like to make a motion that it be approved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, we have correspondence from Chief Smith. He requests to transfer one ambulance to the judge's office. Do you know what that means?
Mr. President, the Hammond Fire Department currently has an ambulance that's not in service. They've replaced it with a newer model, and the judge's office is currently in need of a newer vehicle for graffiti removal. As such, they've made this agreement to transfer the asset, and I'd like to make a motion that it be approved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, a hearing on 1020 Myrtle Street.
I would request a board approve a continuance to March 21st. We're awaiting a deed restriction on this property.
Granted, thank you. Hearing on 714 Sibley.
I'd like to ask for a continuance to April 25th.
Granted. 854 Indiana.
I'd like to ask for a continuance to March 7th.
Granted. 4737 Toll.
Yes, we're asking for the removal of the second floor apartment and converting it to a single-family home. The new owners of the property are cooperating.
Make a motion that the findings in order be affirmed.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, 4638 Henry.
We're asking for the removal of the basement apartment at 4638 Henry. Ceiling height is approximately 6'6" no permits to convert. The owners of the property are cooperating.
I'd like to make a motion that the findings in order be affirmed.
Second.
All in favor? Next, we have a license agreement with B&R Oil for groundwater sampling. Is there a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Correspondence from Mr. Correa of Gemstone Jewelers. He requests a hearing on denial of a business license.
President, I recommend we set that for February 28th.
February 28th it is. Next, there's a request for a rental registration hearing, 3840 Torrance. February 28th.
But if I may, I would like to request that that be set for March 21st. It's a case that I'm heading, and I'd like to be here. Unfortunately, during that time, my third child will be born, so I will not be here. I would like to be present for that hearing, if it could be set for March 21st.
I would say that's a satisfactory reason.
Thank you.
Next, we have another request for a rental registration hearing. It doesn't state the address. February 28th on that one.
It says it's 2013, but it doesn't have a street address. You know which one that is? 2013?
I think that's the year they're referring to.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Gee, I could get to correct you for once. I kind of like that.
But that don't have to.
Right. February 28th. And next, Ms. Kinsella requests a continuance of the February 14 date, and we'll also set that on February 28th. Next is a hearing on property at 1459 Truman Street.
Mr. President, this is a rehearing for a property that was up on the 24th. It is our understanding that there has been, here's the problem the city has. Apparently, the owner, Mr. Wittes, who's here today, they've hired a non-licensed contractor who sited the home with no permit. They tore down the rear addition but left the foundation and left a pile of debris in the yard. The rehab agreement expired last October. I've had a discussion with Mr. Cook, who has said that even though he believes that this property should move forward with demolition, he's willing to give a one-time 45-day extension under very strict terms, which would be this. And the reason I'm reading them is that I want Mr. Wittes to agree to them, and that if he'd like to, otherwise the recommendation would be to move forward with demolition. A 45-day extension as follows: that a bond of $10,000 be posted, the yard is cleaned, and the remainder of the addition is removed within 3 days after the agreement is signed. Permits for the entire job are issued within 7 days. Continuous progress is being made. Substantial completion within 45 days. If Mr. Wittes is agreeable to that.
I can do all that. Waiving the $10,000, I mean, that's going to kill me. The other things, it's no problem. I hired 4 Seasons. I gave them $12,000 to redo the thing. It's a well-known company. They said they were going to pull the permits. I just assumed, bad assumption. I understand that.
Do you know if they're licensed in the city?
They said they were. They said that they'd pull the permits. They said that Dave Barzin, he was the gentleman that I was at the meeting in October.
They're not licensed. So, I mean, I think you have a remedy against 4 Seasons, Mr. Wittes, but that doesn't, I mean, you know what I mean? That's your issue with 4 Seasons.
I understand that. Could you?
Would it be acceptable for the zoning department to waive the $10,000 bond, being that we're on such a short time frame to comply with this matter?
Mr. Lundy, we would defer to the board's recommendation on that.
Mr. Wittes, if we waive the $10,000
Yes, sir.
bond, would you be able to find a licensed contractor?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
comply with the rest of the terms?
Yes, sir. I had somebody else that was going to do the thing, but I didn't trust them, so I went with these guys. I have licensed contractors for electric, plumbing, and the other stuff. Yes, sir.
I'm going to make a motion then that the bond in this matter be waived, and that all of the terms of the agreement be enforced in effect upon completion by both parties for the terms laid out in the agreement.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. President, just to clarify, I want Mr. Wittes to understand that the 45 days begins today.
Yes, I understand.
Ms. Cantar, the city attorney, is preparing an agreement for you. I will advise her that the 10,000 bond has been removed by action of the board, and I would ask that you go up to her office tomorrow to get the agreement and sign it.
That's fine.
Okay? She's on the third floor here at the law department.
Would I call her first, or would,
It's going to be ready for you
okay, what time?
anytime during the day tomorrow.
All right.
All right.
She does lunch or anything like
Nope.
that. All right.
No, she doesn't do lunch. She does go to lunch, but that won't affect it being ready for you. Thank you.
Next, 1333 to 1337, 150th Street.
I would ask that the board affirm the findings in order to remove 3 illegally installed apartments. The owners are cooperating and have gotten some estimates from some licensed contractors. However, there also is a possibility that they may sell the property to an investor who would in turn do the work. I would just ask in that circumstance that a deed restriction be applied so the new owner understands what is required by the city to bring the property back into compliance.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Next, 1150 Summer.
Yes, Mr. President, 1150 Summer. Was it 1150? I'm sorry. Mr. Cook and I were just discussing this file. I believe a rehab agreement has been signed between the 24th and today between Mr. Galvin and the city. So we're going to ask this be set over for the...
I'd like to buy the place. Gentleman, I spoke to you yesterday? Yes, sir. Mr. Galvin is evidently trying to get into this agreement. At the same time, this gentleman has been interested in buying the property from Mr. Galvin. Understand this property's been on the demo list for 6 months at least now. Nothing's been done other than Mr. Galvin getting the deed recorded the day before the demo hearing. If there,
Galvin's issue was that he was awaiting a tax deed.
Correct.
Is that the issue?
correct. That's good. Actually,
Could you just give me your... Yeah, could you identify yourself, sir?
I'm Michael Anderson. So I provided a down payment on the property to Mr. Galvin. This gave him the capital to complete the tax transaction and get the deed recorded in his own name. As soon as the deed is recorded, his intention is to transfer the deed to my name. He's been stuck without the capital to proceed with rehabbing the property. I can provide that. So provided that we can extend this and issue Mr. Galvin permits to rehab the property, it's my intention to provide the capital and at least get a roof on the place.
Mr. Galvin, sign this agreement?
I've never seen an agreement. Oh, Mr. Galvin has signed the rehab agreement with the city, yes.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we affirm the agreement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. 443 Conkey.
For 443 Conkey. Yep. We have a rehab agreement that's been prepared. We just asked for approval. Yeah. So, Mr. President, we just asked that the board approve the agreement to rehabilitate that property.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement.
All in favor? Aye. Next, our amusement device list. For a motion to approve. All in favor? Aye. Next, matters from board members.
Mr. President, I have one matter. Mr. President, in the matter of the disciplinary hearing of Thomas Markovich, I'd like to make a recommendation that the board approve the findings of fact that finds for the termination of firefighter Markovich.
I'll second your motion.
I abstain. Any more matters from board members? Matters from department heads, new business, old business, public expression. Anyone wishing to address the board, now is your opportunity. Good morning.
Hello. Good morning. My name is Lauren Bassrott, and this is my father, John Bassrott, and this is in reference to UFO Bar and Grill on Holman Avenue, 4536 Holman. I'm originally the one that's in charge of the sales taxes, the monthly sales taxes reportings, and I basically live in Montgomery, Illinois, which is in Kendall County. My father, due to his recent, illness, you want to say, that was diagnosed by Dr. Paik, I guess led me to have full responsibility of the establishment's concerns with respect to this bill, with a bill from your office, and also the food permit. During that transition period, that's when, I'm sorry, I didn't even claim the reason I'm here. The reason I'm here is because I'm entering in a petition to waive the triple fee. And I guess it was the date in question was December that the bill was due for the $150 so that I could renew the permit license. But due to the other responsibilities that I packed on.
This is a restaurant license?
It's a restaurant license, yes.
The beer with alcohol permit, it's $150, sir. And they tripled it somewhere along the line. Well, the letter was lost, and I was going to go and pay the $150 for the health department at Crown Point when I got wind of this, and then it was late. Long story short.
Is this the food, there's several permits involving a small business like this. You've got a liquor permit from the
Yes, I have the liquor
board,
permit, but the place.
and then you have one from the health department, which is not anything to do with this board. Then you have a city license permit that's from.
Right.
That's where
And that's where the confusion arose when I started taking over the whole transition. With respect to the food permit, it's the same dollar amount that the restaurant license. It's basically $150 and $150 for each. And as we were looking into paying the food permit, that's when we realized there was two different entities that I guess the payment was in question. Then that's when, and before I even took over the transition, my father did attempt to pay it back in December, walking in personally, but they said it wasn't due until January 31st. So I guess it was basically.
What relief are you seeking from this board?
Well, basically, we're just seeking to see if there's any way you can find, you want to say the grounds of the medical concerns, and the whole transition is an error on our part, and waive the $300 late fee, basically.
Paid $150 today.
Failed to renew their business license with the city of Hammond. The city of Hammond has a $300, the license goes from $100 to $300 if you fail to renew it in a timely fashion. In this case, that's what has happened.
So you're seeking us to modify from 300 to 100.
It's $150. They tripled it. It's $450.
So the $300 we're pleading to the board can waive, considering that my father has had the establishment for over 5 years. He not only has the restaurant license, he purchased the real estate property, he invested all his capital from his savings during his retirement period.
First, right?
We're just a week late.
The other lights, thank
You're
you.
telling me that at some point, the owner who has registered their business in a timely fashion over the last 4 years has had a condition in which transfer of the management of the establishment has changed from him to you, and because of that transfer, that was the reason that you weren't able to.
Yes, and
Okay. That being said, I'm going to make a motion that your appeal of the late fee on the business license be granted, and that the controller's office be be instructed to issue the license at the regular rate of $150 less the late fee.
Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Thank you.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
If you did transfer that, you're gonna have to talk to the liquor board too, because a transfer of license ownership is gonna affect that too.
No, it's just so that I could take care of the documents because of his condition right now. It's nothing is transferred. It's only for me. I'm trying. Just relax. It's because of the medical concern that I'm taking over all the documents. That's all.
Very
Respect
good.
to make
Good
the
luck.
payment. But I appreciate everything so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others for public expression? Item 11.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor?